What I want to talk about today is the bait of Satan, which is offense. I believe that right now, people are struggling with offense. I find myself, even at times, getting lured into this trap called offense, where I've taken the bait and it then turns into other things. The offense grows. So that's what I want to get into today. So welcome back to Jesus Joy Global. My name is Sarah, if you're new here. And this morning during a time of prayer, the Lord was just speaking to me about this very thing. Because in my life, there's a lot of people that I interact with on a daily basis that are struggling with this very thing, offense. And if you've never read the book by John Bevere, The Bait of Satan, I highly recommend that book. And actually, I am going to read it again myself. It is a very good book. It talks about offense and how it's a trap of the enemy. And so this morning, as I was just in prayer, the Lord was just speaking to me about the different ways that we can become offended. And so that could be simply from a coworker, a family member, your spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, random people at the store, even people on the road can bring us offense. And so as the Lord was just talking to me about this subject this morning, he was just saying it's a look, it's a glance, maybe it's a word spoken, maybe it's multiple words spoken about you or against you or to you. Maybe somebody even cuts you off on the road, somebody cuts in line. There's so many different ways in our everyday life that we can stumble into the trap of offense. And the problem is, if you let offense get into your heart, it starts to grow. So if you picture offense as a little seed, and that maybe someone made a comment about you, maybe they're talking about you behind your back, or maybe they judged you falsely. If you take that seed of offense in, it will grow and produce bitterness. It can produce anger. It can cause you to speak maliciously about that person. And eventually, it can bring hatred into your heart. So it is so important that we do not let offense come into our heart and ruin the garden that the Lord has planted there, that he wants to tend and to nourish and to have grow up the things that he wants us to grow. If we have those weeds of offense come in, it chokes out the good things in the garden of our heart. And really, if we take that bait of offense, it causes our heart to become calloused and hard over time. Because if we do not deal with that offense, no matter how small or no matter how big that is, it will develop over time into this gigantic weed. And if you garden at all, or if you weed your yard, sometimes you'll have those really big weeds that are super tall, and you need to actually dig them out by the root. You can't just pull them out easily. And that's what I'm talking about with offense. It can grow into this huge weed that is harder and harder to get out, because not only is it offense, but it's now offense, bitterness, anger, hatred. It's developed into these stages of this large weed. And that's why the Lord does not want us to have even a seed of offense come into our heart, because ultimately it's a trap. And it's a trap to trick us up and get us off of the right track. It gets us out of the right mind frame of thinking Christ-like and being loving. And just to use an example, even from this week, and this is just one of many opportunities that I had the option to be offended, to let that seed of offense come in. And you guys know, as a YouTuber, it can be very hard on social media in general to put yourself out there, to share the things that the Lord wants you to share, to be obedient in what he wants you to share. So there are times where I get very nasty comments. I get just downright angry, vile comments, sometimes personally directed towards me. They can be very judgmental. And so I read every single comment that people put on my channel. So just so you guys know, if I don't respond, It doesn't mean I haven't read your comment, because I do read every single comment. But there are those comments that come through that are filled with hate. And I have a choice in that moment to either take offense or let that comment go and give it to the Lord. And what I find myself doing is praying for that person. I don't know who these people are. I don't know why they're so angry. I don't know why they may judge a book by its cover, or why they come at me with so much hate. And honestly, it could just be Christ in me, which, at that point, that's fine. Either way. But what I'm saying is, if you turn around and pray for the person that is causing offense in your heart, it will dramatically change not only you and the garden of your heart, but also over time, it will change that very person that is causing you the offense. If you give it to the Lord, if you throw that seed back and say, I'm not accepting the seed of offense, I'm not going to let this spring up in my heart as hatred or anger, but Lord, I bless that person. I bless that person that talks behind my back, that spreads evil, malicious things about me. I bless my boss that is constantly belittling me, whoever that person is in your life. I just ask you to start praying for them and watch and see what the Lord will do in that situation, and how your attitude towards that person will change. And as the Lord was speaking to me this morning just about offense, I already knew that this was a trap and a trick of the enemy. It's something that he wants us to stumble into, because if he is successful in doing that, we no longer operate in love. We no longer walk in love or talk in love. And that's exactly where the enemy wants us to be. And it made me think of Jesus and his life, and how many times he had the opportunity to be offended or to shout back at the people that were spewing hatred on him. But he didn't. He constantly walked in love and never sinned. How much more should we want to be like our Heavenly Father, walking in love, no matter what people say or do to us? And that's why I just feel like it's so important that we guard our heart against offense, because otherwise we're not going to walk in love the way that the Lord wants us to. And in 1 Peter 4, verse 8, it says, above all things, have fervent love for one another, for love will cover a multitude of sins. And Proverbs 19:11 says, a person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense. So I just want to remind you guys today, and even myself, let's use wisdom. Let's overlook those offenses that come our way, because we need to operate in love. We need to move forward in wisdom and power in the love of the Lord, and guard our hearts against offense, so we can bring people into the kingdom. We can show the Lord's love, and we can show others that no matter what they say or no matter what they do to us, we are covered by the Lord's protection in his love. We are covered by him. Those seeds, those darts of offense don't need to penetrate into our heart, because we are covered by the Lord. So I pray this message blesses you. Pray and ask the Lord if there's someone or maybe multiple people that you need to forgive, that you need to just ask him to root out that offense within your heart today. So I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I will talk to you soon, and until next time, we'll see ya.